The Krell warfleet descended upon the human colony of New Terra like a storm of iron and fire. Commander Zarthok stood on the bridge of his flagship, mandibles clicking with satisfaction as he watched the primitive settlement below. 3 million humans, helpless and defenseless, or so intelligence had reported. No military installations detected, his sensor officer reported. No planetary shields. No weapon emplacements. They're not even evacuating. Zarthok's 4 eyes gleamed. The Krell had conquered 47 species in the past millennium. Humans would be 48. They had observed humanity for decades, a species that spoke endlessly of peace, that built gardens instead of fortresses, that responded to every galactic conflict with diplomacy and offers of aid. Weak. Pathetic. Ripe for conquest. Open a channel, Zarthok commanded. Let them hear their doom. On the surface of New Terra, Governor Sarah Martinez stood in the central plaza, surrounded by calm citizens who went about their daily routines as if a warfleet hadn't just entered orbit. Children played in the parks. Merchants sold their wares. Artists painted murals on building walls. The Krell commander's face appeared on every screen in the colony. Humans of New Terra, I am Commander Zarthok of the Krell Dominion. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Resist, and we will glass your world. You have no military, no defenses, no hope. Accept your fate with whatever dignity your weak species possesses. Sarah listened patiently, her expression serene. When Zarthok finished, she simply responded, "We decline." Zarthok's mandibles clattered in confusion. You decline? Did you not hear me? We will destroy everything. We heard you, Sarah replied calmly. And we respectfully decline to surrender. Please leave our system within the next 30 minutes, or we will be forced to respond. Laughter erupted across the Krell bridge. Warriors who had slaughtered millions found this response hilarious. A species with no weapons threatening them? Delicious irony. You amuse me, Governor, Zarthok clicked. Very well. Since you choose annihilation, let me educate you on why the galaxy fears the Krell. Our shields can withstand Nova-level detonations. Our weapons can crack planets. Our warriors are bred for war from birth. What will you do? Throw garden tools at us? Sarah's expression never changed. Commander, do you know why humanity stays silent in galactic conflicts? Why we never participate in wars, never show our military strength, never respond to provocations? Because you are cowards, Zarthok spat. No, Sarah said softly. Because we remember. She pressed a button on her wrist device. Around the colony, seemingly decorative monuments began to shift and transform. Statues revealed themselves as weapons platforms. Gardens retracted to expose bunker networks. The very buildings themselves reconfigured, their facades falling away to show armor plating and defense systems that made Krell technology look like children's toys. But that was just the beginning. In orbit, space itself seemed to tear open. Not 1, not 10, but 300 human warships emerged from dimensional foldspace, a technology the galaxy didn't know existed. These weren't the sleek, elegant vessels of peaceful exploration that humanity typically showed the galaxy. These were weapons, pure and simple, covered in angular armor and bristling with weaponry that operated on principles physics hadn't yet fully explained. The flagship, named the Remembered, dwarfed Zarthok's entire fleet. Its hull was etched with names, billions of names, in hundreds of languages, from dozens of human cultures. Every person who had died in Earth's wars, from the first prehistoric conflicts to the near-extinction event of 2087. Admiral Chen's voice echoed through the Krell fleet's communications. Commander Zarthok, I am Admiral James Chen of the Human Defense Fleet. Let me tell you a story about why we stay silent. On every Krell screen, images began to play. Earth's history unfolded before their eyes, endless wars, genocides, world wars that killed millions. Nuclear weapons that nearly rendered their homeworld uninhabitable. Humanity's talent for destruction, refined over 10,000 years of recorded history. We are a species, Chen continued, his voice heavy with old pain, that once killed 40 million of our own in a single war. We created weapons that could sterilize our entire planet. We perfected the art of destruction so thoroughly that we nearly became extinct. And then, at the edge of annihilation, we made a choice. The images shifted to show the unification, humanity's desperate decision to channel their warlike nature into defense, exploration, and protection of others. The creation of technologies so advanced that they could end conflicts before they began. The establishment of the Silent Watch, a fleet that existed in dimensional fold space, monitoring the galaxy but never revealing itself. We stay silent, Chen said, because the alternative is genocide. When we make war, Commander, we don't conquer. We don't occupy. We annihilate. It's not something we're proud of, it's something we feared so much that we hid ourselves away from the galaxy, hoping we'd never need to remember what we're capable of. Zarthok watched his sensor displays in growing horror. Human weapons were locking onto every Krell ship. But they weren't conventional targeting systems. These were quantum probability weapons, devices that didn't destroy matter but rather edited it out of existence, retroactively erasing targets from the timeline itself. You have 15 minutes to leave this system, Chen stated flatly. Take this message back to your dominion. Humanity stays silent because we know what we are. We've spent 3 centuries learning to be better, to be peaceful, to be the species that helps rather than harms. But never mistake our silence for weakness. We are silent because we're dangerous, and we know it. Sarah's voice rejoined the conversation from the surface. Our gardens aren't signs of weakness, Commander. They're reminders. Every flower we plant is a conscious choice to create instead of destroy. Every piece of art is a deliberate rejection of the war machines we once built. Every child playing in those parks exists because we decided that life matters more than conquest. She gestured to the monuments around her, now fully revealed as weapon systems of terrifying sophistication. These aren't hidden because we're afraid to show them. They're hidden because we're afraid of what we might become if we normalized them. Every human colony has these defenses. Every human ship has weapons we pray we'll never use. Every human citizen learns our history so completely that we can never forget the price of violence. Zarthok's warrior pride crumbled as he truly comprehended what he faced. The humans hadn't built a military to conquer, they'd built a military to ensure they never had to conquer again. Every weapon system was designed not for offense but for absolute, overwhelming defense. They didn't want territory or slaves or glory. They wanted to be left alone to build their gardens and raise their children, and they had created the most terrifying military force in the galaxy to ensure that peace. Retreat, Zarthok whispered, his voice shaking. Retreat now. The Krell fleet turned and fled, their FTL drive screaming as they escaped. Behind them, the human warships didn't pursue. They simply watched, then faded back into dimensional fold space, disappearing from normal space as if they had never existed. On New Terra, the weapon systems retracted. The gardens returned. Children continued playing. Artists went back to their murals. Within hours, no sign remained that one of the galaxy's most powerful fleets had just been sent running. Governor Martinez stood in the plaza, watching a young girl plant flowers where a weapon platform had stood moments before. The girl looked up and smiled, unaware of how close they'd come to war. This is why we stay silent, Sarah murmured to herself. Not because we're weak, but because we're strong enough to choose peace. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The Krell Dominion formally apologized and requested a non-aggression pact. 36 other aggressive species suddenly became very interested in peaceful coexistence. The Galactic Council received formal notice of humanity's defensive capabilities, along with a simple statement, "We hope you never see them in action." And humanity returned to their silence, tending their gardens, creating their art, raising their children, and remembering. Always remembering. Because the day they forgot would be the day the galaxy truly had something to fear. The strongest species, they had learned, wasn't the one with the biggest weapons. It was the one strong enough not to use them.